out there. Welcome back to a very interesting video for you all. Today we're going to be cooking and tasting every US president's favorite food with Max the Meat Guy. I am excited. Get ready for this one because I know this is going to be a little bit of interesting video this time. Let's get started with the first US president up until today.
They were tasting every U.S. president's favorite food, starting with the one and only
George Washington.
His favorite food was hoe cakes with honey, which is essentially a rustic cornmeal pancake. Today we'll be stacking the Democrats and Republicans against each other
to ultimately find out if the Democrats or the Republicans reached the supreme goal.
Political party reigns supreme.
Not bad.
Welcome, Sophia and Kyle. Now, George Washington was a Federalist, which is more closely aligned with the Democratic Party. So for our first Democratic food...
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bussy, this is not for you.
It's Tibby who gets up there. Honestly, a little dry. I definitely get the cornmeal in there.
It's not really sweet.
And I like that.
It kind of reminds me of like a cake. I would go for more.
And the results.
I think you guys are crazy. But that puts the Democratic approval rating starting at a 6.3.
Let's move on.
The second U.S. president is John Adams, and his favorite food
is our cider.
John Adams was the first U.S. president to live in the White House, but I gotta be honest
with you guys. If your favorite food is a drink, that is very alcoholic.
Straws in. It's super sweet, but kind of has like a fermented aftertaste.
Kind of reminds me of that mead that we made. Remember that?
Yes.
I love hard cider, but as a favorite food, I just don't see it.
Not for us. Our third U.S. president was Thomas Jefferson, and his favorite food was mac and cheese.
And apparently he seduced his wife playing the violin.
Where the ladies at?
He was a statesman, planter, diplomat, lawyer, architect, philosopher,
founding father,
the nation's first secretary, primary author of the Declaration of Independence, vice president,
and president of the United States.
AKA,
this guy was quite the
underachiever. And to plate, it's of course going in the cheese wheel. No matter how hard I try, I just can't seem to escape this thing in a YouTube video.
And for our first Republican taste test, it's time for mac and cheese.
This is really bringing me back to that time I cooked for that 5-year-old.
I love Kraft mac and cheese.
The presentation is on point too with this wheel.
It makes it better. Putting our Republican approval rating at a 46, just barely beating up the Democrats. Let's move on.
The fourth U.S. president is James Madison, and his favorite food
is ice cream.
Somehow, with a food choice like this, he was still the smallest U.S. president, weighing in at a whopping
100 pounds and a stature of 5'4".
I love ice cream, but if it's going to be a favorite food, I feel like it has to be savory.
Well, obviously, you're going to say your favorite food is a steak, but I have a sweet tooth and I like it.
Me too.
And some very strong scores for the Republicans.
Let's move on.
James Monroe was the 5th U.S. president, and his favorite food was fried chicken. James Monroe governed in a time where the U.S. population was a total of only 10 million, roughly the size of New York City, which is kind of crazy to think about.
We're gloving up for this one.
I'm going for a good old breast.
I mean, it's crunchy, it's juicy. We're all in agreement, right?
Yeah.
Biggest fan.
What?
I love chicken, but I prefer it grilled.
I know James Monroe is rolling in his grave right now, and you guys might not know this, but this is actually the same year that A1 steak sauce was invented.
Oh, yeah? I didn't actually know about that.
Time period
as the Civil War.
Let that sink in.
Hey, Max, there's a sink at the door for you.
It's so dumb.
You know what? This country could use a delicious steak sauce.
Yeah, during the mid-Civil War. John Quincy Adams was the 6th U.S. president, and his favorite food was fresh fruit.
Seeing as cameras were invented in the early 1800s,
John Quincy Adams was the very first president to be photographed.
This is the only right way to cut a watermelon. Shout out Golden Balance who taught me this.
Really?
I eat fruit with like every meal, so I love this. I think this is a good call.
I think he's been undercover vegan.
I don't hate his choice. I don't love it.
Kyle, we are no longer friends.
These guys, they're like an old married couple over here.
Our 7th president is Andrew Jackson, and his favorite food was green beans and bacon. Andrew Jackson's face is on the $20 bill, and he apparently had a giant 1,400-pound block of cheese in the White House.
Boy, our boy Andrew Jackson must have loving a lot of cheese, huh? I am a big cheese eater, and I got his idea from him. Andrew Jackson was one of the most popular presidents of all time after the mid-Civil War. Boy.
I don't know, this guy kind of sounds like an idiot.
But whoever buys that much cheese.
He left it in the entrance hall of the White House to age for 2 years, and in 1837, he invited the public to come and eat it.
I'm not the biggest fan.
That's my sister right there. There is one element of this dish that I absolutely love, and one that I absolutely hate.
You hate bacon?
It kind of reminds me, you know, in China, we would eat that green bean and minced meat.
You know what? That actually kind of looks like a great dish. Maybe I have to try that. I did try spinach and bacon. Boy, that was good. I wonder what green beans and bacon are gonna be like. I'm gonna have to find out.
Once again, an extremely artificially high number for the Democrats.
Based on Kyle here.
What? I feel like you guys are teaming up or something. That tastes amazing. I love
green beans.
The 8th president was Martin Van Buren, and his favorite food was Oysters Rockefeller. Oysters Rockefeller is a classic. You start with fresh live oysters.
Oh, look at this, guys. We got a twin oyster shaped like a heart. Look at that thing.
Look at that thing. After shucking, you top with a creamy mixture. There's spinach in there and feta. It is an amazing combination, and it's finished off with some breadcrumbs.
And also, fun fact about Martin Van Buren, he was the only president to have English as his second language, as he was Dutch. Yup.
In fact, I'm half Dutch as well.
Really?
That reminds me of broccoli cheddar soup.
It's creamy, it's cheesy.
I like it, but I feel like all I can really taste is the top part, and I don't really taste much oyster.
Very strong scores for the Democrats. Moving on. Number 9 is William Henry Harrison. And believe it or not, his favorite food was squirrel stew.
Now, I couldn't find a squirrel.
So instead, we're using a rabbit.
Tibby, why does he kind of look like you? Now, I really don't eat rabbit too often, but every time I've had it, it's fantastic.
Kind of a wild fact about Harrison, he delivered
the longest inaugural address
on incredibly cold weather. As a result, he developed a terrible cold, which led to his death. That is a tough way to go.
Sophia, you remember our little pet named Bun Bun?
I miss Bun Bun.
Well, he's evolved in his final form.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be squirrel,
but
the flavor of the stew is on point. The texture of the rabbit is like braised. Kind of reminds me of chicken.
It is a good soup.
I think this game meat thing isn't for me, to be honest. If that was actually squirrel meat, it probably would have been way worse.
Yeah. And the 10th president was John Tyler. His favorite food was Indian pudding.
I'm actually really excited about this one. It's like a spiced pudding with cinnamon, nutmeg.
And also, fun fact about John Tyler, in the time period where the average family was about 5 people, he himself, you want to know what he had? He had 15 children and 2 wives. Yeah, you heard me right. He was a very busy man.
It reminds me of like the inside of a pumpkin pie. I wish there was more crunch to it. Like the crust is just so important.
I love the cinnamon, the nutmeg, and all the stuff we get in there.
A little molasses too.
That doesn't do it justice. This is awesome. You guys should try to make it.
I'll definitely have to make that spice pudding. The 11th president was James K. Polk, and his favorite food was cornbread.
He was a super sickly child and actually didn't begin his education until he was 18 years old.
But I gotta say, I guess that means pretty much anyone can be president. Kyle, you down?
Yeah, Kyle Tibby 2024.
I could eat it all day long.
It's average. It's nothing special for me.
For me, it has one instance. You're eating a bunch of ribs, and you need to break up all the richness, so you have a bite of cornbread. And the Republicans seem to be taking up the early lead. Let's move on.
The 12th 12th president was a man named Zachary Taylor, who unfortunately passed away after only 1 year of his presidency.
But his favorite food was serving-style rice fritters.
He served during a time period where the price of beef was literally only
7 cents a
I'm
pound.
just dreaming of all the ribeyes I could have cooked. The rice includes flour, sugar, and all sorts of aromatic flavors like cinnamon.
I'm actually looking forward to this one.
Honestly, it's kind of like a worse fried dough. It's a bit dense.
The first taste I got was powdered sugar and cinnamon, but the inside was really doing it for me.
I just feel like it doesn't need to be deep fried. I tasted it before and it was fantastic on its own. Average across the board.
Miller Fillmore was number 13, and he kept it classic with the beef stew.
Beef stew. Super tender chuck roast with potatoes is my favorite way to do it. And this guy, Millard Fillmore, was Zachary Taylor's vice president, who only became president when Zachary Taylor passed
In his office.
It reminds me of the holiday time. You have those potatoes, the carrots, the beef, just all those flavors. I love it.
For me, it's kind of basic, and I way prefer like a hunk of meat that I can slice and eat like a steak.
I also like having, if I'm gonna have steak, like a nice piece of meat.
I agree.
Another good showing for the Republicans to maintain their lead. The 14th president was named
Franklin Pierce, and his favorite food was fried clams. And he was known for having 7 small dogs and 2 birds, which were a gift from Japan. That time period, that White House must have been looking like a zoo.
And our Democrat and Republican approval ratings are still extremely close.
Time for fried clams.
Those right there bring me back.
I'm with you. That just reminds me of summer and just good childhood memories.
I'm not really the biggest fan of fried clams. I love raw oysters and things like that. Sophia, I'm with you on this one.
Our 15th president was James Buchanan.
And his favorite food was sauerkraut?
This man tried to mediate the North and the South, but ultimately failed in preventing
The Civil War.
I imagine that failure had something to do with his poor decision-making skills, as reflected by his choice in food.
I'm not looking forward to this one.
I really hope we can all reach some political food common ground on this. Sauerkraut deserves to be in one place and one place only, and that is in a Reuben.
I don't disagree.
There are so many other things I'd rather eat than that.
Me too.
That is
And guys, that is a tough showing for the Democrats, and
could very well cost them this whole election.
so now it's time for the 16th president. He was one of the most historically significant presidents of all time, and we're talking about Abraham Lincoln.
Of all time,
And I am proud for him because his favorite food was bacon. I mean, it doesn't get more American than this. Lincoln is credited with the abolition of slavery, and he was an absolute beast at 6'4". Turns out he was also an amazing wrestler.
losing only 1 out of his over 300 matches.
Must have been from all that protein consumption.
Sadly, his life was taken in a theater while he was celebrating the end of the Civil War.
But he's going down in history as a straight-up boss.
Let me know in the comments if this is also your preferred bacon type.
That's a cool bacon. And I love me some bacon, though. A little bend to it, but still, hear it? Nice and crispy.
Oh yeah.
If you're the type of man who is admittedly to publicly admit that bacon is your favorite food, that is a sign of confidence, of strength.
Bacon was disgusting. Just kidding. Bacon's great.
I can only have like 1 or 2 pieces and then I get tired of it.
Now I know what to get Max for his birthday this year.
Okay, the 17th president was Andrew Johnson, and his favorite food was popcorn.
Johnson actually never attended school at all. In fact, he taught himself how to read.
He became the mayor of Greenville, Tennessee at the right age of 22, and he also bought the state of Alaska.
I didn't even realize you could do that. I think I might have overdone it.
Yeah, you done it very good. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
No!
Dude, you're killing us.
It bounced right off. Can we get an
Can we
instant
repeat
replay
that
of
again? I mean, it's popcorn.
Cool seeing it homemade, but
I like popcorn in one setting, and that's at the movie theater.
Me too. Twos across the board.
And our 18th president is Ulysses S. Grant.
With his favorite food, bean rice pudding.
And he was president during what may just be the most revolutionary invention of all time.
no way the shake weight's that old.
No,
Now,
the telephone.
I like it. It's a little sweet.
I actually think that's one of my favorite desserts I've ever eaten.
I could definitely eat that again. I'm a huge fan.
Me too. Strong showing for the Republicans. Do we take up their lead?
In the polls. Number 19 is Rutherford B. Hayes.
And just like George Washington, his favorite food was cornmeal pancakes.
And we already know Sophia and Kyle, we're huge fans of that one. What it means is that it's a 6.3 for the Republicans.
Number 20 was James Garfield, and somehow his favorite food was also squirrel stew.
But what it means is it's another 5.3 for the Republicans.
The
21st
21st president was Chester Arthur, and his favorite food was mutton chops.
mutton chops.
Chester Arthur was known for being extremely fashionable,
and even changed clothes for each occasion throughout the day.
and for that reason he earned the nickname Elegant Arthur. It is revealed that he had over 80 pairs of pants. Yup. Do you ever heard of people that had 80 pairs of pants in your closet? I'm not that much, but I'm also very extremely fashionable. I love me some fancy clothes, only for a special occasion throughout my life. Let me know in the comments if you also like being fancy, elegant, and stuff like that.
You're gloving up for this one, Kyle.
It's a glove job if I've ever seen one.
Yep, you're gloving up.
Gloving up.
We're going raw, huh?
That is incredible.
It is literally the ribeye of lamb. You can't beat it.
I feel like mutton's just slightly gamey, but I actually do think that that sauce on top is awesome.
Psych! Got him. That's a crazy score.
You're too loose with your knife.
I'm a meat guy. Okay?
Says who?
Our 22nd president of the United States was Grover Cleveland.
And his favorite food was pickled herring.
Honestly, a pretty healthy favorite food, though he was named as the least healthy president in history
Due to his love of drinking and smoking cigars.
I freaking love this stuff.
We eat this a lot as kids. It's salty, it has like almost like a pickle flavor. It is pickled herring.
Pickled herring is really, really sweet, and I don't like sweet pickled stuff. I like salty. This is the one from the Viking video, right?
Yep, that is the one from the Viking.
Yeah, I thought it looked familiar. You're trying to tell me that you ranked that better than ice cream?
I mean, I could literally eat that stuff all day.
The 23rd president was Benjamin Harrison, and his favorite food was corn with butter and salt.
Harrison had a pet goat named Old Whiskers who lived in the White House.
Yup, he did have a pet goat, and he was also the very first president to have electricity in the White House, and he was so nervous about this new invention because he had a servant to turn off the lights for him.
All right, kids, bedtime.
Because otherwise, this would have happened to him.
It's kind of average.
It's corn.
Oh my God, it's corn. Relatively low score here for the Republicans. That should tighten up the race. President number 24 is, once again, Grover Cleveland with his pickled herring.
And he was the only president to have non-consecutively until quite possibly this year, and what that means, it's another 4 for the Democrats. The 25th president was William McKinley, and his favorite food were eggs.
Was eggs? Grammar. For reference, a carton of eggs back in his day cost a mere 20 cents. And before becoming president, he was a teacher making $25
a month. Maybe that's all he can afford were eggs.
Kyle's going no yolk.
You're watching the cholesterol, I see, Kyle.
My cholesterol's super high.
How's that doing, by the way?
I don't know how to answer that. I guess it's going all right.
My cholesterol is fantastic.
Really?
Yep.
Like what number you're talking.
No, I don't know.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
It's an egg.
But it's so versatile. You can do sunny side up, scrambled with cinnamon sugar. That's a really good one.
Really?
The team is shifting in this direction.
The team is shifting.
Once again, you're ranking the egg as high as the ice cream.
Hey, what if I want to put, eggs on my ice cream?
Number 26 is Teddy Roosevelt, and his favorite food was steak and gravy.
He was the first sitting president to physically leave the country, and to this day, he's still the
youngest president in history.
He was also firm in his mission to make sure American beef products were safe to consume,
signing the Meat Inspection Act into law in 1906. Without him, without Teddy Roosevelt, we would have never been able to eat meat.
This is my speed. Though I will say, gravy does not belong on a steak.
The gravy, I think, kind of ruins steak.
A chimichurri, I think, would be amazing on this.
Some pretty big numbers across the board. Number 27 was William Taft,
whose favorite food was steak and potatoes.
For the steak, we have an ancient relic from deep in my meat freezer. Some of you guys might remember this. It is from 2021, the Sour Patch Dry Age. Will this thing still be edible? Honestly,
I don't know.
The crazy thing is, it still smells exactly like Sour Patch Kids. I am going to remove that pellicle area just so it doesn't burn. But if I recall, the steak tasted exactly like Sour Patch Kids all throughout. Just season with salt, and we'll just pan-sear. And as expected, we have a ton of extra caramelization.
But I have to say, for a 3-year-old Sour Patch dried age,
Sour Patch steak,
this is looking pretty good.
I remember that flavor.
Something tastes different on here.
Do you like it?
It's pretty good, yeah.
it was dry aged
In Sour Patch Kids.
No way.
Get that sweetness.
Kind of, now that you mention it. What do? You just wrap them in it?
You should watch the video.
Actually, you should go all watch the video. I'll leave a link in the description down below.
For 3 years, it tastes
The exact same as it did.
back then.
This was my favorite dry age project we ever did.
Really?
I'd definitely eat that one again if it didn't take so long to make.
The 28th president was Woodrow Wilson, and his favorite food was chicken salad
He served during the notorious and extremely horrific years
of World War I.
But on a slightly lighter note,
This was also the time period where the fortune cookie was invented.
What the f?
I don't really believe in these things anyway.
Yum.
Oh, you hate salad. You're Max the Meat Guy. That is not true.
I love salad, me too. Especially when it's made out of chicken.
It's probably the best chicken salad I've ever had. I think it's because they only use chicken breast.
Could it be?
And a massive score for their Democrats. This lifts them from a 40 to a 43% approval rating. This race just got a lot closer.
Number 29 is Warden Harding, and his favorite food was chicken pot pie.
Clearly, I have a lot of work to do when it comes to making a proper chicken pot pie.
This is a mess. I don't know what happened.
here.
It looks like you dropped it on the floor.
Is it safe to eat?
That chicken pot pie is terrible.
What? I love it. My favorite part is the crust part and when it's a little doughy, but also the edges are still crispy.
That's not a good chicken pot pie.
I don't think we should judge it based on this particular chicken pot pie. I am ready to get this chicken pot pie away from me.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
The 30th president was Calvin Coolidge, and his favorite food was apple
He
pie.
was the only president born on 4th of July, and this was a time period when gas only cost
13 to 25 cents a gallon.
Wait, Sophia, isn't this supposed to be apple pie?
Not cherry.
Oh, sorry about that.
That is a winner.
I absolutely love cherry pie. My least favorite pie is probably apple
Yeah,
pie.
I would definitely for sure prefer a chocolate cake over this of desserts.
Before moving on, I am, of course, going to go have to disown my sister.
That was not very nice, Sophia. That was not very nice of you.
The 31st president was Herbert Hoover.
And his favorite food was sweet potato casserole with marshmallows.
Herbert and his wife spoke Chinese, and it's reported that they spoke Chinese together in the White House
When they wanted to have a private conversation.
如果你会说中文，写好评论。
By far my favorite Thanksgiving side, specifically the one from Boston Market.
Yes.
Right? Remember that growing? Oh my god, it is just redonkulously good.
I actually think it's pretty good. I'm not a hater.
Surprisingly high for this side dish. President number 32 is the one and only Franklin D. Roosevelt.
His favorite food, and his favorite food, and his favorite food is the classic.
Grilled cheese. This is a guy who pulled America through.
Through the Great Depression as well as World War II,
He was also the very first sitting president
to ride on an airplane.
Like, if I was 12 years old, this would probably be up there for me, but
With a cup of tomato soup, maybe?
Yeah, I really only like grilled cheese with tomato soup.
I love me some grilled cheese. It's pretty good. Very average. Moving on.
Harry Truman was the 33rd president.
And I'm not hearing that correctly. Did you say his favorite food was well done steak? Okay. Viewer discretion is advised as we cook this well done steak, but to giving us the best chance, Max is going to use this dry aged brisket point.
I'll start by slicing right down the middle to see what we got. Truman was the only president to make use of an atomic bomb in warfare, but I'd say by far his most notorious characteristic is his choice of steak.
Now, I have a feeling that this well done steak is not going to be good, so they're going to be using some Max jerkies. You can also buy them, go to the shop, or you can go to the link in the description down below and use code President30 for a massive free giveaway. It helps a lot support their channel. And now it's time to eat this well-done steak that Harry Truman loved.
Apologize to you both.
I don't even want to put this in my mouth.
We have to.
I thought that the brisket would make it better, because typically brisket cooked to well done is like edible. It's just not good.
No. Steak should never
Should
be
not
cooked to well done again.
Under any circumstances.
I will give you props. The crust has a pretty good flavor on it, though.
That was bad.
Dwight Eisenhower was the 34th president, and his favorite food
Was a
fudge.
chocolate fudge with nuts and marshmallows.
Eisenhower was one of the most influential generals during World War II, and as president, believe it or not, it was a time period
Where McDonald's burgers only cost 15
That's
cents.
like one.
Yep. They kind of went down with the price. Dwight Eisenhower was a very influential president at that time, huh?
Sign of today's cost.
Oh my god!
After that well-done steak,
This is a
this
welcoming
is a
sight. Oh wow.
I want to eat that whole thing right now. I know.
Reminds me of like hot chocolate.
So creamy, silky, dense, but still smooth.
I gotta keep eating this.
Me too, I'm eating this too. That is a big W for the Republicans. Alright. President number 35 is the extremely popular John F. Kennedy, and his favorite food was clam chowder.
At 43 years old, he was the youngest president ever elected.
And this was also the time period where frozen dinners and Spam
were all the rage. So you might not know this about us, but we were all from the East Coast, and that right there is a staple.
The Chunky's commercials, remember that?
No.
Oh yes!
Yeah, Donovan McNabb, the quarterback for the Eagles way back in the day. His like mom, she makes this soup.
She thinks she's the original chef.
Donovan McNabb's mom served him Campbell's chunky beef with country vegetables.
Haha. With the more modern day Democrats are putting out some absolute bangers when it comes to food, and they're starting to catch up.
Number 36 is Lyndon B. Johnson, and his favorite food
Was a chicken fried steak.
And LBJ sounds like
My kind of
He
guy.
ate breakfast in bed at 6 a.m. and apparently had bacon almost every single day of the week.
That sounds healthy.
All right, guys, I apologize for the lack of gravy on this. I've just never understood chicken fried steak.
I think this is my first time having a chicken fried steak.
Steak needs its own crust, doesn't need to be fried.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely prefer a steak's crust.
me too.
Wasn't expecting mine to be the highest.
Our 37th president is Richard Nixon. I
And
had to do a double
Max had to do a double take here. Because you want to know why?
take here.
Because apparently his favorite food is cottage cheese mixed with ketchup.
Now, I'm a pretty open-minded eater, but
That is just wild.
Get your sloppy.
shit just slop. Though I learned that during this time period,
A brand new 4 mukbang only costs
This
$2,500.
inflation is killing us right now. There is only one thing in my head that sounds worse than putting ketchup on a steak.
And that is putting ketchup on cottage cheese.
I already don't like cottage cheese. I'm honestly.
I know, you signed up.
No, you signed up.
No,
No.
Oh,
It's not horrible.
it's not good either.
It's not good.
dude, that was one of the worst things I've ever eaten in my life.
That is a big blow for the Republicans this late in the race.
President number 38 is Gerald Ford, and his favorite food was pot roast.
Ford could have played in the NFL, but decided to go to law school instead, ultimately becoming president. And with
And with a favorite food like this,
I can see how strength and protein were a big part of his life.
pot roast sounds good. But I love meatloaf better than pot roast.
Very reminiscent of that beef stew, but I like
The flavor on this is a little bit
It's
better.
like anything that goes in one of those pans with all those ingredients always tastes so good.
Yeah.
It's super rich.
38 president, I'm getting full.
Pretty decent scores, and I have officially developed the meat sweats. Number 39 is James Carter, and his favorite food
Is grits.
Transparently, I do not like grits. I do not know how to cook good grits.
And yes, this is instant grits. But why is it called grits?
Yeah, the name doesn't do it any favors.
Like, saying your favorite food is grits is like saying your favorite food is rice. The base layer of it's the foundation. It's not even the
It
foundation.
feels like
It's just-
I just hate
I don't want to eat it.
soggy cardboard.
We probably pissed off a lot of Southerners with these scores, but I don't regret it.
Number 40 is one of the most popular presidents of all time. I'm talking about Ronald Reagan. and his favorite food was jelly beans.
The 80s was an era defined by fashion, TV, and the rise of blockbuster movies, and Reagan apparently snacked on these as a way of quitting his pipe smoking habit. They rank relatively high
On the candy scale?
but I don't love candy in general.
Do you like combine the flavors in your mouth?
No. Savor that flavor. Select your flavor.
Sophia's favorite, buttered popcorn. That one's terrible.
But the red ones are pretty good.
What? You can eat jelly beans at any time of the day. The morning, the afternoon, midday snack.
George H.W. Bush was the 41st president, and his favorite food was pork rinds.
George H.W. Bush was president the year I was born. This was a time period when ribeye steaks went for only $6 a pound.
Man, I was born 30 years too late.
Is that a chicharron?
Essentially.
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow. I honestly thought this was going to be like a potato chip, but it's way crunchier than that.
Hey, but
Shush.
Shush.
Hey.
It tastes like cardboard.
I refuse to believe my little sister does not like these. I mean, personally, I would for sure prefer
Beef jerky?
I
saw that coming.
Down to the wire. Is it time for the Democrats to make a comeback?
Number 42 is Bill Clinton, and his favorite food was chicken
He's a
enchiladas.
Southern boy who, as we know, had his fair share of scandals,
And he was also allergic to milk and chocolate, though he loved fast food, specifically his chicken enchiladas.
those look pretty dang.
frozen microwave enchiladas that have been sitting out for 6 hours look dank to you.
Ooh, that's spicy.
It is spicy.
That's very spicy. I love like Tex-Mex and stuff like that.
I don't love it.
It's even better than Mexican dishes.
Time is starting to run out for the Democrats. Let's move on to the last few.
And the 43rd president was George W. Bush, with his favorite food being a cheeseburger pizza.
We're finally reaching presidents that I can distinctly remember as a kid. This was me as a 10-year-old when he was in office.
And now I'm starting to coming to presidents I can also remember as a kid. This was the time period when I was born in 2005 and George W. Bush was here.
These were back in the days when Facebook was just invented and MySpace was still all the rage.
That is doing it for me. Cheeseburger pizza. I have to try it one day.
I love cheeseburgers. I love pizza, and combined, match made in heaven.
I think that bite of pizza is the best bite of pizza.
Yeah.
Where you get half crust, half pizza.
Couldn't disagree.
It's even
more.
better
The crust is
pizzas.
meaningless to me.
Nobody should be shocked
by these scores. And our 44th president was
Barack Obama. And his favorite food was somehow broccoli.
Then Mr. Obama revealed that broccoli was his favorite food. Really?
I'm not sure how I feel that somebody's favorite food being somehow broccoli.
But I did learn he's left-handed, just like me. This one is just wrong on so many levels. The only possible chance this broccoli has is throwing a bunch of ranch on top, but even then, I'm not feeling good about it.
You almost knocked the camera off.
Really, Barack?
Really?
How could this possibly be someone's favorite food?
That is a huge Democrat L, and it could be the difference maker this late in the race.
We made it to the one and only Donald Trump, and his favorite food is fast food. Specifically, he loves his KFC.
All right, I'm taking off the skins.
Oh, you're not taking off the skin from that.
They don't know that.
I kind of respect, guys, that Trump is literally to publicly say that his favorite food is fast food.
Bold statement.
He's a bold guy.
He's a bold guy, guys.
I believe it more. No one's favorite food is broccoli.
And with only one final president left,
Democrats have a lot of ground to make up.
and we made it to the last and final president. At the time, he remains the sitting president of the United States. It is Joe Biden, and he loves his ice cream. But Joe, what's your favorite flavor? Thanks a lot, Joe. And now it's time for the final taste test. All right, guys, welcome to our dear Joe Biden, our final president.
Haagen-Dazs does it right. Personally, I prefer a vanilla base over chocolate.
I also love a vanilla base over chocolate
I'm
too.
with you. Too much chocolate is just too much for me.
All right, and with these final scores,
Final tallies,
the Republicans have received their victory.
food Let us know who you think is going to be the next president of the United States down in the comments, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.